Most anime protagonists have one hard line they won't cross: don't kill. While it can be nice to see them show compassion and empathy, it can also be frustrating. Does that villain who just tried to destroy the world really deserve to survive when it's obvious he'll do the exact same moment the hero turns back on him? Regardless of what you think about the morality of that situation, it may be trying to see the hero steadfastly refusing to take lives under circumstances. But not all anime protagonists are like that. Some feature anime protagonists who don't spare lives, or at least rarely do so. There is also the fact that the protagonist can be wanted by a special force for having committed a heinous crime, being persecuted to death. And not only that, imagine that your reputation around the world is shattered as a murderer, for which all the people you meet or know about you want to see you die without mercy. This is why I bring you the 7 best anime where everyone wants to kill the protagonist. Scrapped Princess.
本当にすまない。やっと会えたのに。
The series is set in a fantasy kingdom. Pacifica Cazul is a princess born with a horrible prophecy. When she turns 16, she will bring about the destruction of the world. To prevent her death at the hands of the king and the church, the queen hides her with other family. The show takes place when Pacifica is 15 years old, quietly traveling with her adopted brother and sister, Shannon and Raquel, a swordsman and a magician respectively, fighting the occasional group of bandits and royal guards while rumors spread about the survival of the discarded princess. The art direction is inspired by traditional fantasy stories with knight and traveler outfits stemming from other common designs found in JRPG video games of that period. The anime also takes its time to explore the backstory, turns of events that have shaped the mindsets and motivations of the main characters. When she's done, she quickly embarks on her own roller coaster adventure to the finish. Mugen no Junin Immortal. The story begins when we meet Rin, a girl whose entire family and members of the dojo her family ran were massacred by a group known as the Ito Ryu, whose stated goal was to prove the futility of Japanese swordmen. After her father was killed and her mother was raped before her eyes, this girl swears revenge, and that is a goal she has trained for several years. However, when she realizes her inability, she runs into Yaobi Kuni in a graveyard, who suggests that she look for Manji, a legendary assassin who can help her in her request. Rin finds him and finally, after much tribulation, agrees to help her, mostly because she reminds him of his little sister, though her relationship soon takes quite a different path. This is how a story of carnage and mayhem begins. Mugen is full of great characters introduced in almost every episode. They are likable and hateful for different reasons, which makes them all the more compelling. Sometimes you like any of them just to get a scene of how their nature works and remind you that almost all of them are cold-blooded killers. Big Order. Beer Order follows Eiji Hoshimiya, a high school student who also has a great power, buying domination. In short, Eiji can claim any territory as his own, forcing everything within that territory to bind to his will, with everything eventually succumbing to his command. It is then discovered that Eiji was the cause of a global catastrophe that ended with a multitude of deaths, which 2 of the victims were Kurenai's parents, Rin, a new transfer student at Eiji's school, which was an assassin sent to kill him. Attempting to carry out her plan, she fails at the last second and finds herself tied down by Eiji's order. Now forced to follow him and never try to kill him, she plays out the rest of the series as her partner. Being something of a phoenix, every time Rin dies, there is a large flame that burns and brings her back to life. This is the anime where you will see that every human being wants to kill our protagonist and has a great hatred for him. The 12 Kingdoms. Yoko's natural red hair, despite her Japanese origins, has always been a source of ridicule from her classmates. Even her own mother believes that she dyes it out of rebellion. However, her hair speaks of a fate that awaits her, one that she is not eager to accept. A tall man with long blonde hair arrives at her school one day saying that the enemy is near. Before she can understand his meaning, her school is attacked by a giant bird with the power to control storms. The man summons monsters to fight and hands Yoko a magic sword fit for a queen. Ultimately, he is forced to open a rift to transport her to his kingdom for her safety, where her destiny as the future queen of one of the 12 kingdoms will thrust her on a journey of self-discovery and political conflict. Ajin. Ajin Demi-Human revolves around humans called Ajin, who can regenerate, paralyze themselves with a scream, and summon dark phantasms to vanquish enemies. Humanity fears this power. To be an Ajin is to live perpetually hidden, hated by all. Outstanding student K walks in front of a truck one day, only to wake up from a pool of blood and see the black stuff oozing out of his skin. He is an Ajin. And so he begins his life on the run, suspicious of everyone around him and with nowhere to go. However, an old friend comes to his aid. The story starts off strong, throwing us headlong into Ajin's situation with intense action and tension as everyone and his mother wants Kei dead. Nabari no O. The story revolves around a listless and mischievous young man named Rokujo Miharu, who wants nothing else than to live out the rest of his days in the quiet town of Banten. However, life never goes our way, and Miharu is soon drawn into the affairs of the Nabari world by his teacher, Kumohira Tobari, and his classmate, Aizawa Koichi. They explain that Miharu has a powerful hijutsu called Shinrabansho within him, a power to control or do anything, and a ninja clan known as the Kairoshu, or Great Wolves, are willing to do anything to get their hands on the power that Miharu has within him. Miharu reluctantly gets drawn into the affairs of the Nabari world until he meets Yoite. Yoite, who is part of the Kairoshu, approaches Miharu telling her that his wish must come true or those who stand with Miharu will be killed. Miharu agrees, though it means his friends will hate him. Ju Osei. Jiusei takes place in the distant future during a time when humans have begun to settle in distant galaxies. The story revolves around a boy named Thor who discovers that his parents have been murdered. Later, he and his brother are drugged and left to die on the planet Chimera, which is used as a penal colony. Thor quickly adapts to the environment of the lodge, which is full of very aggressive carnivorous plants. He eventually gains allies in the form of a young girl he really likes named Tiz, and a mysterious supporter named Third. With his new comrades by his side, Thor aims to become the Beast King of the planet in order to escape Chimera and take revenge on the murder of his parents. In an almost uninhabitable environment, humans have carved out a brutal and ingenious life. Man and woman fight to the death for the title of Beast King while working together to overcome the many challenges of living on a planet where being eaten by a giant man-eating plant is a very real possibility. As an innocent child thrown into a terrifying world, Thor is torn between what he considers human and decent and the fact that humans are truly the most dangerous animal of all.